We're going to take a deep dive tonight on a crime out of Southern Oregon that's making headlines across the country. We're covering this story in such an in-depth way because the FBI thinks there could be more victims out there, and the suspect lived in both Portland and Vancouver in the past year. It's definitely our big story tonight. Before we get too far into this, a warning that many of the details are violent and graphic. We're talking about a kidnapping case that sounds like it's straight out of a TV drama, but the feds say it's all real. We have new details from court documents and an NBC exclusive interview with the FBI agent in charge of the case. First, let's make sure that we're all caught up. Here's a little bit of background. We're talking about the arrest of a man named Negasi Zuberi. He had been living in Klamath Falls until he was arrested just about a week ago. And when the FBI started looking into him, they found some disturbing information. Law enforcement first got involved in the case back on July 15th when a woman in Klamath Falls flagged down a driver and called 911. She told police that she had just escaped from a makeshift prison cell after a man kidnapped her from Seattle. She was a sex worker when a man solicited her for sex. He told her he was a police officer, put her in handcuffs and leg shackles, threatened her with a taser, and put her into the back of his car. The woman told police that he started driving for hours. She noticed a map app in his car showing that he still had more than 2 hours to drive until his destination. That's when she assumed that she'd been kidnapped. She also says he stopped and sexually assaulted her several times during the drive. After more than 400 miles of driving, the woman told police they got to a house in Klamath Falls. And she says the man locked her in this cinderblock cell in the garage. The man left, and the woman says she realized she might die if she didn't try to escape. So she started beating on the metal door to try and open it. Your special agent Stephanie Shark of the FBI, she's the agent in charge of the case.
She'd been beating that cell for hours, and her hands were very bruised and bloodied, and there was skin broken on them.
After getting out of the cell and climbing a fence, the woman ran for help. Police used cell phone data to track down that man living in the house, Negasi Zuberi. They ended up cornering him in a Walmart parking lot in Reno, Nevada. Police say his wife and one of his kids was with him. They say he refused to come out of the car, tried to destroy his phone, and he even cut himself and started bleeding heavily before eventually being arrested. But when investigators started investigating, they quickly realized that the case goes much deeper than one kidnapped woman. They searched the Klamath Falls home, which, by the way, is owned by the mayor of Klamath Falls. Not involved in the case, though. The mayor had been renting out the home and quickly evicted Zuberi after his arrest. Inside that home, though, they found notes detailing a plot labeled Operation Takeover. It included instructions to leave his phone at home and to target people who had, quote, didn't have a bunch of people in their life because, quote, you don't want any type of investigation. The notes also contained drawings of plans for a concrete cell 100 feet underground. Zuberi's wife and children had been living with him in the home, and investigators found out he'd been living all over the country. Here's Agent Shark again.
Through our investigation, have identified he's been in at least 10 states, if not more, over the past several years. And we have information to believe that he's been connected to at least several assaults in those various states. And now we know that he was in Denver, Colorado, Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, Bronx, New York.
The feds say he lived in Vancouver around this time last year and in Portland in September after that. Investigators also have him connected to cities in Michigan, Alabama, and California since 2014. They say they've tied Zuberi to 3 more sexual assaults in 3 of those states, and they think it's highly likely there are more victims out there. As you saw in the notes they found in the home, investigators say he targeted people who may not have loved ones checking on them.
Sex workers were part of the population that he targeted, but also other roommates or other people he felt that didn't have connection to anybody else, based off the information that we have at this time. And so it would be people who wouldn't necessarily come forward.
We went to check out Zuberi's former neighborhood in Vancouver. Neighbors say they did not get a good feeling from him. Here's what they told us.
He did make some threats towards me that he was going to stab me or kill me if he catches me outside somewhere.
Get off my property. Get off my property. Like he was subleasing every single space that you could possibly, like literally the living room, I think they had like a little open area when you come up the stairs, kind of like a loft area. He was subleasing that. There were beds there. Like it was weird. There was a lot of different people.
They say they once saw a young woman crying outside of Zuberi's Vancouver home while he lived there.
My husband's like, do you want us to call the cops? Like, do you need help? Do you want some tea? Like, it's freezing out here. And she's like, no, I'm not going to tell you what he did to me. She said those exact words.
In another bizarre twist to this case, the suspect appeared on the show Judge Judy back in 2019. He was using the alias Justin Heish, and he was in court with the mother of his 2 kids. He accused her of assaulting him.
24-year-old Justin Heish is suing the mother of his child.
So I would have awarded you money for false arrest because I don't think there was any basis for you to be arrested other than the police in New York sometimes are scared not to make an arrest if there's a call for domestic violence.
In that case, Judge Judy ruled in his favor, ordering his former partner to pay him $2,500 in damages, but she was later granted a restraining order against him, saying that he was abusive to her and their children. The FBI says Zuberi used many aliases. He also went by Sakim Zuberi and Justin Kulasi. The FBI is hoping people who encountered him will now come forward.
The most chilling part of the note is make sure that they don't have a bunch of people in their life. And so we are targeting people. That was who he targeted. And so therefore we're looking for people who may not have come forward because they did not feel that they had the support or would be believed or that anybody would care. But it's really important for us to make sure that these victims know that we do care and we will help protect them. And he is in custody, so they no longer need to be afraid.
If you know anything about Zuberi, you can contact the FBI at fbi.gov or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. He was charged with interstate kidnapping. It carries a maximum sentence of life in prison.